How's everybody doing? Everybody doing pretty good? I thought I streamed for a bit. Because why not? I got nothing else to do tonight. No, I'm coming on here to talk about some stuff. Uh, and explain to you guys where I've been, what's to come for the future, uh, what's happening now. So yeah. Also, I might react to some stuff. Feeling kind of goofy, if you guys know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I'm glad to be back. Never thought I would be back. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Uh, but um, so let's get into some stuff. Because some people might watch the VODs for this, and that's perfectly okay. Better than recording a video, honestly. But we'll get into that momentarily. But oh, my nose is itchy. I'm so jealous right now. Moist Critical is streaming right now on YouTube, and he's playing Starfield. I'm so like jealous. Unfair, because I want to play Starfield. I want to play it so bad. I have it downloaded through Game Pass. So I guess if you buy the game, you can play it early. But like, I don't have $70. You know, how much is it on Steam actually? Let's look. A game I do want to play is Hogwarts Legacy. I want to play that. That looks fun. Star. $70, bro. Ridiculous. $70. You can only pre-purchase the game too. So it's like you don't even get to play it. Only like certain people are playing it early, I guess. Yeah, I'm excited though. It's a game that I really want to play, and I'm very excited for it. Um, I'm still deciding what we're gonna do with this stream, honestly. Let's talk about what's going on in the uh, what's going on right now. Um, lots of stuff is happening. Lots of stuff is happening. Um, if you guys didn't know, uh, we have a Patreon page. Um, we have a Patreon page. $7 a month. You get to view a new podcast that I've started with my friend Devin. You get to see all these videos early, and on it's oh wow, I can actually watch it. It's funny. Um, but yeah, huge thing right now. It's $7 a month to become a Caboose Goose. Doing some things. I'm trying to monetize myself. YouTube's not doing it for me. That's why I kind of took a break because I really wanted to focus on what type of content I wanted to do, you know? And I've kind of figured out what I want to do. Definitely want to do more streams, especially when Starfield comes out. I have a whole video idea planned for that. I'm looking at the prop for it right now, which is kind of funny. But yeah, let's see. What else are we doing? More videos to come out, more streams. lots of stuff. I have a lot of things planned. Um, where I've been, I have, well, at the beginning of the year. So my last video, let's look. My last video I've made, technically, because this was a re-release. This was originally behind a paywall, but I re-released it, so that doesn't count. But my last video was my stream got blocked, and technically, it was the Game Awards stream, my last stream, and then I went away for work, got a new job. I lived in Colorado for like 6, 7 months, and I didn't have any of my stuff with me, so I couldn't really do much. And now I can. I'm home a lot more now, and I got things planned. Honestly, I'm very excited about it. And so I've been working a lot more, planning how I'm going to come back and make content again. I'm trying to figure out what kind of content I want to make again. Really focusing on this channel, my company channel, Chapel Media. We do have a podcast coming out. Like I said, we have a Patreon, so all the stuff is available on there. And yeah, you get to view things early on the Patreon that will be released on both Chapel Media and the main channel, as well as I don't know if I had this other channel too. If I can go back, I had this other channel, and I don't know what I want to do with it. I mean, like this video right here, it's a VOD of me watching all of the ERBs, Epic Rap Battles of History, like in order and ranking them. And that's 161 views. That's pretty good for a 4-hour video. But I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna do with this channel. I don't know if I'm gonna do more gaming on here, releasing the VODs. I don't know yet. We're still deciding it. But we're gonna be doing a lot with the main channel. I can tell you that. For the future, I'm gonna be streaming. When Starfield comes out, I'm gonna be streaming that game for sure. I'm very excited. But yeah. Um, oh, it's so late. It's like 11 p.m. where I'm at. Ridiculous. Redonkulous. So I do want to watch GamerX, Gamer Game Ranks, Game Ranks. Yeah. Release date before you buy for Starfield. I kind of want to react to it, see what they have to say about the game, and see what the big deal is, what they think of the game. So I'm gonna fix my maybe I could put it right here. There we go. That looks better. All right, let's watch this.
Hello, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking Starfield. This is a big one to tackle. It's a game that's been in the works for many, many years from a game development studio many people love and some people have been turned off by in recent years. It's a completely new thing from them. It's not an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout sequel. It's an ambitious space exploration game with its own new worlds and lore.
So see, I'm very excited about that though. Like, honestly, my favorite game of all time is the Fallout series. In fact, I love Fallout 4 got a huge negative reception. I thought it was great, to be honest. I kind of loved it. I might play it again. And I've always said that I want a space Fallout, and I'm hoping this is what they have. From what I've been watching, it's perceived to be kind of like that. But let's see.
So after playing a review copy and spending many hours with this game, personal opinion up front here, I like Starfield. I don't know if I love it. It has a lot of flaws, and in some places doesn't quite hit the heights I was hoping it would, but real simply put, I've enjoyed my time in this game world. If you were hoping
Okay.
Bethesda would make an epic game that would feel nothing like what they've done in the past and be completely glitch-free and change the world, well, then you might be a bit disappointed. But if you're the type of player that was just looking for the next Skyrim, the next Fallout, and just like embracing the Bethesda gameplay and vibe like a warm blanket, then I think you'll be satisfied.
Okay. Well, I mean, like going into this game, I was expecting. I literally said it today, talking to myself. Oddly enough, that I expect this to be a Bethesda game. I expect this to be glitchy at first. You know, all games are. You know, because they release unfinished games, and that's what I'm expecting, honestly. And who knows? It might be one of the best games. My prediction is this is going to be Game of the Year, Starfield, 100%. But let's go on.
Starfield is a complicated one to talk about, and I do think everyone's going to argue about it. It's going to be a divisive one. On the surface, it doesn't look very nice. It has weird NPCs. It does have bugs, and the space exploration isn't as endless and as cool as some were hoping.
Oh,
Like I
man.
said, it's flawed, but it's an entertaining Bethesda style game with some charm, some great factions, beautiful music, deep side quests, weird stuff to discover, and some cool lore. It took a while, but for me, the good outweighed the bad. For you, I don't know. That's the point of this video. We're gonna try and work on that. Let me explain why and break down all the stuff you can expect in the game. And just so you know, this video you see here is as spoiler free as we could possibly do. You know, in the 100 hours or more you could spend in this game, we tried to keep most of the footage
Oh,
on
wow,
screen
you can
here to within the first few
become
hours, just
invisible.
because like
Bet you
there
it's
is a
a
lot
suit
of
you
good
get.
surprises, and I think stuff worth seeing.
I did not know you can do that. I guess that's like a suit you get in the game. Like you can turn invisible. That's kind of sick. I did like when the trailer dropped. I did like the combat mechanic. It looks smoother than Fallout's. But let's go.
Seeing yourself for the first time. And this footage is captured on both Xbox Series X and PC. You'll be able to tell by the frame rate. We'll talk about that all later. So in the game, you start out, you create your character, you pick some defining backstory and traits, and get going. You're a miner on some remote mining planet, and you stumble upon something that quickly gets you whisked away, conscripted into a group called Constellation. They're like a group of space explorers, where in this world, the humans are all over the galaxy and all over planets and just kind of doing the things humans do in the future. Constellation is a small group still just focused on exploration and the vast mysteries of space. And there's a good main quest here with some good characters. Sure, they look a little awkward, but there's some good voice acting from some of the main companions, and dealing with their personality quirks and life differences is fun. Some of them, especially early on, like Sam Coe, have some good charm to them. Spend some time with them. While characters may look generic on the surface, some of them might
Like-
surprise you.
I won't lie to you, man. The character designs and like they look good. They look really good for like Bethesda. Like I'm kind of surprised. Look at this. This is Sam Coe, I'm guessing. But yeah. He looks great. Like it looks like a video game character. It's not too realistic. It's not too fake looking. He looks good. Looks good. 10 out of 10.
But the actual main quest itself is interesting. Like I said, while your character is not voiced, you still seem to have some agency and choice in how things go down. And there's a good mystery to unravel that, again, I won't spoil. For me personally, I actually just wasn't into the game for the first few hours, though. It takes a while to get its hooks into you. The opening mission is a bit bland. You don't really get that wow moment. And the first city you visit, while being really big and grand, felt a bit boring and weirdly dull. But as you work your way through the main quest line, which I suggest trying to focus on a bit, at least up until you get to the city of Neon, that's when the game really unfolds and you're more powerful, you've got a good ship, you're with a faction or so, and learn more about these worlds, and you're just kind of going nuts. And one of the main things of the game, like, there's a lot of combat. As much as you are an explorer and you can talk your way out of some things, you're still gonna end up killing a lot of dudes. And thankfully, the shooting feels pretty good. Depending on your stats, sometimes enemies will be a little bullet spongy, but not as bad as you'd think. Guns are loud and punchy and aggressive, and the feedback when bullets or lasers hit enemies gives you a nice proper like thwack. Melee is meh, but you can embrace some stealth. It gets a bit strong.
When they say that, Melee is stuff was Fallout 4's, but it still was unique. Like, I don't feel like these games are meant to be Melee games. You know, I feel like these are supposed to be more of a shooter. I'm just saying.
Stronger as you level it up, and I never found myself completely 100% stealthing a location. Things would always tend to fall apart for me, but it does seem to be a semi-viable playstyle as long as you're adaptable. It's not overly RPG from numbers and stats and points and magic, more from the gameplay approaches, which I'll get to. But skill tree wise, it's kept fairly simple as well, with you spending points in one of a few categories to access some.
So it's like Fallout. So this game is Fallout because you get, I always thought that Fallout's skill tree, which was like that chart of all the Vault Boys, was so much simpler than Skyrim's, which is like you go into space and you see all this stuff. I always thought that was simpler. If that's the exact same way, then I mean it's 10 out of 10 honestly for that.
Benefits, and each of those have their own multiple tiers or levels that you can dump more points into to get more out of it. So to unlock the next tier, it's not about just dumping a point though. You need to complete like little objectives or like a checkbox challenge first. So like instead of Morrowind and Oblivion just jumping a ton of times to get better stamina, now you actually have like a checklist, like say shoot 20 bad guys to get better at pistols, or carry 75% of your carrying weight for X amount of miles to get an available upgrade to upgrade your encumbrance, which holy crap, the game is pretty ruthless with that, or maybe I'm just a hoarder. But these little objectives do get a little bit more complicated once you get further down the tree. I don't know if it was like necessarily needed, but that to me is a minor nitpick. Otherwise it works and I like it. Back to combat though, what sold it for me was the weapon variety. There's a good amount, all with their own use cases and manufacturers, from kind of standard to super futuristic, and even some surprises. There's a lot of good, satisfying choices. Then they also bring over the weapon mod crafting system from Fallout 4 with some tweaks, which I thought was a great system there and also very cool here. It makes for a pretty staggering amount of options and things to hunt for and craft and work towards. And you're getting weapons, spacesuits, out of space clothing, and lots of resources for your journey. And yeah, you can like sneak into someone's apartment or a shop and steal stuff just like any other Bethesda game, but you're usually getting the best stuff by exploring. And exploring is complicated. Unfortunately, it's a bit too weird for my liking. Too many hang-ups. There are a lot of cool planets and big cities and some towns. There are also a bunch of randomly generated planets. Now, Bethesda was upfront about this. They set expectations about how they were randomly generated and how it works, but I still it doesn't feel quite right. So exploration itself is a lot of loading screens and menus. You can look at a big map, warp to a new sector, and float around and look at a planet, maybe talk to another pedestrian ship, do a few things. Then you look at the planet with your scanner, and then you can see everywhere you can really land, or really what the planet has to offer. Then you click on that, and then a loading screen, and then you're landed. Then you have to click leave ship when you're landed, and then it loads you out there briefly. You don't just hop off. So do you see, there's like a lot of barriers.
Yeah.
The presentation, the boringness of...
I feel like that is stupid, though, because my dream game is that you could fly to the planets. And I'm going to test this out when I get the game, is that I'm going to fly from planet A to planet B and see if I could do it. And if not, Yeah, that's a negative for me because like I'm not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like fast travel in games, but the journey of going there was like the highlight. Like for Fallout or not Fallout, Skyrim, you get a horse and you ride there, or a carriage, you ride there. Um, Fallout, I think mainly you have to walk there. Um, but you have a ship, and I feel like with this ship that you get, you should be able to do space exploration. That he keeps mentioning that the big part of this game is exploration. There you go. But like, it seems like you're not getting that. You get planet exploration, not space exploration. But
Just clicking around on a map or a scanner all really hurts the experience. It's not as smart as it comes off initially. Presenting you with fuel consumption and a bunch of numbers to seem sciency. You're really just clicking on stuff, and it's a bummer. Same goes for actually scanning stuff on the planet's surface. Not the greatest thing from a fun standpoint, but yeah, speaking of planet surfaces, from that whole planet to landing sequence I mentioned, once you're out there, if you're on a randomly generated planet, you roam around what is typically a pretty ugly biome, slowly sprinting and running out of stamina, jet boosting around and checking out abandoned factories or caves that typically have a door to click on and load into what is like a typical Bethesda dungeon. And from there, you can usually blast your way through and get some decent loot. It doesn't always amount to too much, and it doesn't usually have anything complex, but it does mean it feels like you can kind of endlessly space dungeon run. It may not be of the highest quality, and you may see some stuff repeat. Every so often, I found myself landing on a planet and seeing something cool and walking towards it and finding something totally weird. But most of the time, to me, it felt a little dull, and I preferred focusing on like the towns and the quests and activities because the more you get into those, the better it gets. And holy shit, they give you a lot. Like from expeditions where you're just looking for stuff to getting into some messes with the faction quests and their own individual activities within to random long running quests you'll get from like a shop or some guy to job postings. There's a staggering amount of stuff to do in this game. Oh, and even piracy, which does remind me I should mention the ship stuff. So when you're in orbit, you can engage with other ships.
Okay.
Like chat with them or get into combat.
Cool.
Combat is fairly simple, but pretty good. It gets the job done. You can actually kind of do VATS from Fallout.
That's cool.
Like get a good lock on the ship and it zooms into them in slow motion, and then you can choose to target, say, their shield generator first, and then go for their engines with a different weapon, something like that.
Okay.
How capable your ship actually is, though, depends on how you build it, and then you can cycle power to engines to speed up, maybe disperse a bit of power to weapons to have more power behind them, or put it all towards your grav drive so that you can, like, light speed warp jump out of there quicker. The flying around isn't super complicated. Again, like you're just in kind of a big space arena separated by loading screens, which sucks, but hey, it's fun to blow up other ships. Still, for me, I gotta emphasize the bigger thrills were on the ground. I had a lot of fun tackling missions and quests in different ways and stumbling through and making dumb choices and seeing the game react. Like sometimes I felt really slick and smooth. Other times, the complete opposite of what I expected to happen happened. And sometimes I just went rash and went in guns blazing. And all of it was entertaining and sometimes surprisingly hilarious. Now, speaking of hilarious, I guess it's worth mentioning the buggy nature of the game. No, Starfield is not immune from the typical Bethesda stuff you've seen in their
I was expecting that.
It feels like
I was expecting to be buggy, honestly. Like every Bethesda game that comes out is always buggy. Like, should I mention Fallout 76? I mean, now it's good, apparently. I heard it's pretty good now, but like I was expecting it. Like, it's nothing new.
a Bethesda game you've seen before, from gameplay to just like the feel, the vibe of it all. But that also boils down to weird, silly, buggy things that'll happen in the game. Like I'll walk into my ship and see a crewmate hovering 2 feet above the ground, or clipping through a kitchen table. Now, during a conversation with an NPC, another character will walk into frame and the camera will wig out as they clip through them and do something funny. People will disappear in a blink. Like, if you've seen it in a previous game of theirs, you might see it here.
That's
You
kinda
might not see
funny.
it as much, like as
Oh.
often, but that goofiness is still there. Does it break the
I love
game?
that.
No. Haven't really had any catastrophic issues other than getting stuck on a chair and having to reload my save. But
Oh no.
it can break immersion a bit. It's not a disaster, but you'll see some weird stuff occasionally. It's worth. Some people are more sensitive to this stuff, so it's always worth bringing up. All that stuff does, however, contribute to making the game feel a bit old in spots. Some towns are like rich with detail and have a surprisingly dense amount of NPCs on screen, but other areas like the planet terrain or even some sections of, say, New Atlantis just look flat and drab and weird, especially at a lot of times of day. And that's on PC and Xbox versions of the game. It's just not the cleanest or newest looking game. And it's a shame considering the massive scope of everything. The town density, like I said, is great oftentimes. And when you're in space, the planets and the effects and the asteroids look pretty great. Or say if you're on a moon looking up at like Saturn and it's casting a light, that stuff is awesome. But the rest of it really leaves a lot to be desired. And as you probably know, frame rate is 30 frames per second on console, and in our experience, for the most part, it was a very solid 30. On the PC side, of course, everybody's machine is different, and who knows how it'll be at launch. We've already had some patches and some updates and stuff like that, but we haven't had many issues after messing around with some of the settings. You know, not the biggest amount of options there, but we've been able to play it fine on our end. Now, switching back to another positive note, I did allude to all the stuff the game lets you do, like weapon mod crafting, but also researching to make special crafting components, as well as cooking recipes, suit mods, which acts kind of like the weapon mod system. You can also build outposts on planets, kind of like Fallout, and set that up to generate resources. And yeah, it can all be a lot, but the best thing I found myself spending time and money on was the ship building. To me, it absolutely delivers. Building
That's
is
good.
easy to grasp and fun to slowly get more and more crazy with it. You know, parts snap together. The game very clearly and intelligently shows you what can and cannot work, and you're doing it all in real time. There's a lot of options too, like small ships, space trucks for hauling, a bigger battleship, and I just loved adding onto my ship and then seeing it on the landing pad in real time and going, whoa, and then going in the ship and seeing how the interior changed. Like, it's all satisfying and addictive. I got hooked on this like I did building settlements in Fallout 4, and it just improved the whole experience. Even if I was dissatisfied with a lot of the space exploration, seeing the ship I made in action, landing on planets, docked at a city, was cool as hell. And I found myself saving up for a new engine or a new type of weapon to mount on
That
it
is pretty
all
cool.
the time.
Like,
These were the main
That's pretty cool. Like, you can have your own ship, like, be customized to you, which I think is kind of cool. I think that's pretty respectful.
points we wanted to hit today. Really, there's a lot of game here, and despite spending a lot of time with it, we haven't seen every inch of it. There's both stuff we couldn't spoil here and also just a lot of secrets to uncover, stuff that we haven't even come across yet. Starfield is a flawed game with some aspects that just don't quite reach the heights they should.
I mean, I'm
but
expecting
it
that.
has plenty of merits, and the more time you put into it, the more it shows you its flavors. We're probably going to be talking about this one for a while. It is a Bethesda game I was expecting, really, even more so than I thought. If you like Bethesda games, even with this one's significant shortcomings, you might like this one. Now,
Yeah.
it didn't do everything I wanted it to do, but like, I like the characters, the world, the civilizations, cool science and guns and ships. And as much as I have my complaints, I'm looking forward to continue playing it, and I pretty much recommend it. Obviously, depending on the type of player you are and your expectations for this game. Hopefully I laid it out enough for you so you get where I'm coming from. This is a before you buy. You know how this goes by now, right? I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I want to hear yours. What do you think about Starfield? Just let us know. Are you someone
I
who's
don't know. I
jumping
haven't
into
played
like
it
that
yet, man.
early access where you pay more for the game? Are you waiting for it to come to Game Pass? And also let us know if
Yes.
you're planning to play on PC or Steam. Are you going to be making mods for the game? Are you just skipping the game? Whoever you are, let's talk Starfield down in the comments. There's a lot to talk about with this one, and like I said, stuff we can't spoil and stuff we haven't even found yet. So let us know in the comments. Try and keep it spoiler free, but if this video helped you out at all, informed you, maybe just seeing the gameplay was nice, anything like that,
It is
clicking the
nice.
like button helps up.
Yeah. So I appreciate the fact that Jake is always giving us not only straight up gameplay, but also gives us his first impressions of the latest games. I guess some people were expecting a real single instance universe where you just walk and fly around without pauses or loading screens. Instead, you got a new Fallout where every building is its own instance, and you get a loading screen in the elevator. I mean, yeah, that's Fallout. uh, randomly generated planets would be great for mods in the future. You give space for modders. It does. That's a good thing to say. I feel like that'd be awesome for them to do. Did anyone notice that you can actually climb over ledges now? Honestly, given it's a Bethesda game, that's kind of shocked me. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I plan on going into this game with a totally different approach than I normally would. I want to focus on building and developing a chain of colonies across multiple systems, and then using the resources slash profits from the from that to become a ship builder. I basically want to run my own in-game enterprise, hoping that the tools to do this are there for are there, but I also have faith that the modding community will deliver for the game. For this game, hell, I might even get into modding myself to really, yeah. I did see that one trait that you can have is start your own company. My main issue is not being able to leave or enter planet atmospheres. Oh, that's wait, enter or leave. That's lame. That's lame. And not being able to leave your pilot seat while you're in space. That sucks. What? Everything else is pretty good. Well, my 7 hours into the game. Wait a minute. So, not being able to enter the planet's atmosphere. That sucks. So that means you can't fly like from like you jump to the planet, right? You have to then land, like press that land button. You can't just fly into the atmosphere. That's lame. What thing they should do for the updates is you scan the planet like you have to in the game, and then find where you can land and you maneuver and land there. That would be sick. But I don't know. Who knows? Uh I love Bethesda. I love most Bethesda games. But I've already argued they need a quality of life improvement that allows you to bypass the multiple loading screens in a row problem. I mean, yeah, like with Skyrim, I think they should allow you to fast travel if you're closer to the exit. Yeah, I mean, that's a game. There's a lot of loading screens. That's like what they're known for. Um, I haven't paying much attention to the development, but was recently interested in picking this up. I heard the game doesn't really get good until you reach a solid 50 hours. I haven't played the game yet. Okay, but I feel like if this game is like Fallout 4, I'm that's the closest game I can really pick off of that. Is that for Fallout 4 you had to play the missions of getting, if you remember from the game, um you had to go save these people in, oh, what was it called? Oh man. Whatever. In that main town, that first town you go to, you save the people, and then you bring them back to Sanctuary, and you need to do a bunch of tasks for them. And then after you're done with those tasks, you're just let go. You can do whatever you want. If that's like this, that's an A+ for me, because basically those first missions are tutorials. And if it's saying that it doesn't really get good until you're a solid 30 hours, in which discouraging, but it looks like it's a interesting concept. Well, made a 132 before picking this one up. I mean, I hope it's what they did with Fallout 4, and not hell. Even with Skyrim, they kind of just let you go, but they might be doing something different. They might be doing something different, to where it's very story driven. I mean, like you have game Bethesda games like Quake and Prey that are story driven, so you don't know. I guess I'll just wait and find out. I am very excited about it though. This is a game that I've been heavily waiting for. Is he already done? No, he's still going. Starfield, it doesn't just work. It's a gamer. Okay, here we go. Starfield, 20 things you need to know day one. Tips and tricks.
Starfield is a gigantic game.
This is Juicehead, by the way. Go give him some attention.
There are a ton of systems here and a ton of smaller things that I honestly didn't notice until I had about 20 to 30 hours in the game, including one feature.
The game just came out for reviewers. Like, obviously these all people are reviewing the game. It's been out for a day. These people are playing this game nonstop. That's ridiculous. Like, you can breathe.
That I discovered and was a complete game changer. In this video, I'm going to share with you a bunch of incredibly handy day one tips or even some hidden features that I think you're going to be taking advantage of across your playthrough. There's going to be no spoilers in this one, and I think particularly if you're somebody who has played past Bethesda games, you will almost certainly be making some mistakes early in Starfield. But my biggest tip of all is make sure you're eating. You're probably about to play an ungodly amount of Starfield over the next couple of weeks, so let's make sure you don't have to worry about food also. That with today's video sponsor, Factor, and even get you 50%.
I'm not giving you money, sorry. Sorry, I'm giving you money on YouTube.
Description or scan the QR code with your phone. But honestly, one of the biggest early game tips is just the help menu. I'm not even sure the game ever explicitly tells you about this, but as you pause the game, there is an entire help menu with a database of tips and how-tos within it. In Starfield, you actually need this, as lots of the systems in this game get really complex. So as you go into something like Outpost Building, read some of these entries first, as I think it'll definitely save you a headache. Something that's almost certainly going to have a learning curve for old Bethesda players is that scrapping items and really junk is completely changed in Starfield. Junk isn't really a core component of the game anymore. Instead, now there's going to be resources as well as manufactured components. Resources are normally pretty obvious because a lot of times these are literal ores, but also sometimes other things like adhesive or other liquids. And manufactured components are going to be a little bit more confusing, but oftentimes a manufactured component will be listed as such in the description. These are the only two categories of resources that you actually care about. Starfield also has junk, and I think Fallout 4 players especially are going to have a hard time with this. Like this microscope, or even this roll of tape. Despite what your instincts are telling you, in Starfield these are genuinely useless. They have no purpose and no functionality outside of whatever costs they have associated with them to sell. And if you just want an easy way to keep track of this, usable resources will always be placed in your resource category, while junk is going to be in miscellaneous and can just be dropped without much concern. But one of the other things I wish I knew in the early stages of the the game is Starfield has a huge amount of inflation. Early in my first playthrough, I was just looting everything that looked like it was worth a couple hundred credits, because in past games, a couple hundred credits is a good amount of money. In Starfield, it really isn't. Most things in this game are going to cost in the thousands, or even certain things in the tens of thousands of credits. So if you see something
Interesting.
that's worth 150 or even 200 credits a pop, I really wouldn't bother looting it. Which, on that note, as you're building your character, if you want to make good money in Starfield, one of the easy ways to do it is just take one of the faction traits. These traits make it so you get more money while doing quests for that faction, and each faction has a full-scale quest line. Most of the money I made in Starfield came from questing, and with the United Colonies trait, I was getting nearly 10,000 credits per quest with almost no downsides. Like, technically you do get greater bounties with other factions, but it barely ever happened, so it was not an issue, and plus I was rich enough to pay off the bounties even if I did get them. But yeah, these faction traits are probably one of the best sleeper ways to make a bunch of extra money in Starfield. As well as one of the single most valuable tips I have for you overall is ship storage. Your spaceship in Starfield has a giant cargo hold, and you could store things in it. You could actually store whatever you want in it. You're able to access this via the ship menu. So just go to the ship part of your main menu, and then you can easily access the cargo hold. And technically, you don't even need to be on your spaceship to use this. As long as you're nearby your ship, you could transfer things in or out of the cargo hold. Specifically, storing resources or loot you want to sell is incredibly handy here. Resources that are stored in your ship's cargo hold will be accessible by all of the crafting tables in the game, and that isn't true for companion inventory, so this is truly powerful and lucrative. As well as at any of the various vendors in the game, you can access your ship's inventory to sell things if you want. And considering the fact that you could customize ships to have more cargo, and you could actually do this relatively cheaply even early on into the game, you can very quickly have a giant movable storage device that you take everywhere with you. The Lodge is the main base of Constellation. It's a place you're going to go right at the start of the game. It has its own fast travel point, making it incredibly handy, especially because in the basement of the Lodge, which you can get to right from this door next to the entrance, there's one copy of every single crafting table in the game. Honestly, through my 100 hours in Starfield, I almost never made crafting tables because it was just much easier to use these. There's a fast travel point right here, and a couple of load screens later, you have every crafting table easily at your disposal. Skills are incredibly important in Starfield, and something you'll notice right as you jump into the game is some abilities are not available until you unlock the skill for them. Jetpacks are one of the biggest ones here. You're not able to use a jetpack without the appropriate skill, so this is likely something you'll want to grab early on. But other basic features of past games like sneak attacks or even a stealth meter are also locked behind skills. Or even pickpocketing is only available after you have the right skill for it. So early on, I would recommend grabbing a few of these as opposed to just some of these stat boosting skills, and just make sure you read around a lot. Skills in Starfield are a lot more intense and a lot more valuable compared to past games. So being careful as to where you spend your skill points is imperative here.
I mean,
another skill
you can relate that to Fallout 4. Maybe not. You can probably compare that more to Skyrim, because Fallout 4, you're basically like picking what you want, and I'm assuming what I haven't seen so far is it doesn't seem like it has the persuasion, strength, charisma, intelligence, endurance, all that stuff that you can achieve like how you did in Fallout 4. I'm assuming it doesn't have that. I'm assuming that you have to buy that, because I was watching Moist Critical play the game, and he was playing a persuasion mini game, and I feel like the more persuasion points you get, the better you're good at it. Maybe that's how it works, instead of just like leveling up and just using a perk point to unlock more persuasion, you know. Honestly, I'm open to it. I'm honestly open to it.
I highly recommend getting, especially early on, that isn't super obvious, is fitness. It's going to increase your stamina in Starfield, and believe me, you're going to want this. Starfield has this problem where a lot of times you land on a planet and you're actually pretty far away from whatever it is you're looking for. So the quest may take 5 minutes to complete, but 4 of those minutes are just you running to the quest objective. And trust me, this happens.
If you guys can hear her, I apologize. She's talking to me. She wants to go to bed. Eva, what's wrong? That's what I thought. But look at this. Look at the game, man. Look how like cool this looks. I bet you like this is like a dead planet. See, like when that comment said like it said like for the modding community they just get planets, and what you can do is like explore that planet, like kind of like No Man's Sky, how like there's so many planets in the game. Like you can like it'd be kind of cool like if there's like an online play to this game if they ever make one, to where like you can like you can mod a planet, build it up however you want, pretty much make it like Minecraft, like it's your planet, right? Or something like it's I don't know. I'm speaking crazy. I don't know if you guys know what I mean. Like you're out here and you make your own colonization, and like you can buy the planet or something. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
All the time.
It'll probably never
throughout
happen,
the
though.
game. You do a lot of running here. Honestly, it's probably the most running I've ever done in a Bethesda game. This can get pretty tedious, but it's made a lot better when you do have more stamina, which is basically going
Yeah.
to be your oxygen meter in Starfield. As well as jetpacks can be super handy here as well. The jetpack meter is separate from your stamina meter. So if gravity is low enough, you can fly forever as a faster means of travel. Or even on some planets, just switch between using your jetpack and running on foot as your stamina bar depletes. But something that's very important to note is there are 4 distinct kinds of jetpack in Starfield, and some of these jetpacks just suck, while some of the other ones are incredibly fun and great. As you get a jetpack, or boost pack as it's known in Starfield, you'll pretty easily be able to see which type it is. The basic boost pack is pretty bad as it barely gives you any lift, doesn't even really feel like you're getting jetted into the sky at all. And
Interesting.
honestly, the skip boost pack, which is a bit more advanced, is kind of the same problem. Unless you're using this one on a low gravity planet, it really doesn't elevate you into the sky at all, so it doesn't
Like-
do much. It just
Can like this game like this world looks like Fallout. That's so funny. And like the fact that you can like not wear your like spacesuit, and I'm guessing it's in like because I know that for a fact you play as a human, and I know for a fact you play as a human, being able to what was I gonna say? Colonize a world and just live on it without a spacesuit and bring your crew there, or start like to start bringing people here. You know, I feel like that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. I might be speaking crazy. Who knows?
really isn't that useful. So if you notice your boost pack stinks, it may be a basic or a skip pack. Conversely, the balanced boost pack provides you with a nice degree of lift as well as a good amount of forward momentum, as well as the power boost pack just flings you into the air at maximum capacity, which can be super valuable. I actually use this one a lot through gameplay because it makes it really nice in combat encounters where you have to escape quickly. You use your jetpack and you're just flung so high in the air that most enemies start missing or they can't even hit you if they're melee. And on low gravity planets, both the balanced and powered jetpacks are incredible. I had so much fun messing around with these in Starfield, but I bring this up because relatively early on into the game, you'll probably find one of each variant of these boost packs, and just take note as it's probably a good idea to save the variant you prefer the most. Because yeah, you're going to use your jetpack all the time in Starfield. Digipicking is going to be the new lockpicking and hacking mechanic, now they're just one in Starfield, and oh boy did I spend some time using this mechanic. There
What
are
in the
a
world?
ton of locks in this game, but I do have some essential tips on how to make this far more forgiving. The picking itself is fairly straightforward. You basically fill the holes with your pick, so you want to make this a complete circle over time. And right off the bat, if you're somebody who is lockpicking a lot in past Bethesda games, buy digipicks every single time you go to the vendor. Unlike past games, with digipicks in Starfield, as you use one, you lose it. So it's an active use item. If you are picking a lock, you just used and consumed that digipick. You'll have one less after, which means you're going to burn through these things incredibly fast. And on numerous missions, I wanted to lockpick something, but I just ran out of picks. Again, it was happening constantly. So early on into the game, anytime you see one of these at a vendor, I recommend picking one up because you'll definitely want it. Plus, you just get showered with money as you do the quests in Starfield, so you will be able to afford it even if they are 500 credits each. And to make the entire picking process a bit simpler, you can actually move multiple picks at once. So you could basically orientate the first one, and then before you apply it, orientate a second one to see if things will line up and the circle overall will be filled. Typically, I wouldn't apply any picks until I figured out the entire puzzle, because even though there is an undo button, hitting undo will actually consume one of your picks, which, like I just mentioned, are pretty valuable. As well as getting level 2 of the security skill early on can be very handy. When you have level 2 of the skill, the picks will be highlighted blue if they fit in the lock. So just at a glance, the game will tell you, okay, yes, this is one of the viable options. It honestly saves you a ton of time and genuinely probably saved me several headaches across my playthrough. But also be warned, because this system can trick you. Just because the pick fits doesn't mean it's the right choice. There are plenty of times in Starfield where I got down to the last ring and realized, oh no, the picks I have left won't actually pick this lock successfully. And specifically when you just have these singular picks, be careful. My main tip would just basically be to always try and use the largest pick available as you get into lock picking, and over time gradually get to the smaller ones. So start off with a 3 or 4 slot pick, and if those don't work, only then start using the 2 or 1 slots. And something else that should hopefully just save you a ton of time is fast traveling. In Starfield, as long as there are no enemies around and your ship isn't docked somewhere, you can probably fast travel. So for example, even as I am on this planet in the middle of nowhere, I can just open up my map and fast travel directly back to the lodge, and it'll place me right outside of it. This avoids several load screens with going back to your ship, jumping there, having to go through the scan process, and then finally landing at Constellation. And you can even fast travel from interior locations, like here. I can jump to a completely different system, and even once I arrive, I don't even have to open the planetary map for this planet if I don't want to. As you're facing a planet, simply hit E on PC or A on consoles, and it'll highlight that planet and give you a quick option to open the planetary map and pick your desired landing location. You can even do this on distant quest markers while in space, and you'll be able to jump directly to wherever that quest is. Very quickly, you'll realize Starfield has a ton of just bopping around from one planet or one system to another, and cutting down the middle time of fast traveling and load screens as much as possible will make the game a lot more fun, trust me. If you're doing the main quest in Starfield, you will always need a cutter. That's that mining tool you'll get right at the start of the game. It's classified as a weapon and you are able to drop it, but if you show up to an artifact without one, you won't be able to progress that quest. You have to basically always carry this on you, which although annoying is not nearly as annoying as running back to your ship because you forgot one. Unfortunately in Starfield, you're not able to find new landing locations on planets just by stumbling upon them, at least from what I can tell. So some planets in Starfield are going to have landing spots that you can unlock. Like for example here, I have the Empire State Building on Earth. Unfortunately, you can't just land here and find it. I tried landing in this area on Earth and I would run around in circles, but no, you can't actually discover these that way. Instead, you're gonna have to either get them from a quest, a book, or just an NPC telling you about them. So when you open up a planet, the landing spots you currently have available are all you have available. It's not like you running around this planet is going to discover a bunch of additional ones. You'll still find something while you run around planets, but a lot of this is the overhauled random encounter system. Things randomly placed on the planet by Bethesda, not actual quest or notable locations. In Starfield, you're able to bind alternative keys for most of the actions in the game. Some actions even have alternate keys bound by default. And this is just one of those super handy accessibility features that I'm sure a lot of people won't notice right off the bat. As well as more so than in past games, activities in Starfield will lead to proper quests. As you play this game, and really as you go through some of the major cities, you'll notice that a ton of activities like talk to X person will actually end up leading to a full-scale quest or even quest line. Some of the most fun quest lines are found this way. In past games, a lot of times these would just be minor or forgettable quests, but no, in Starfield, these can lead to major things, so don't ignore them. But those are some of my big tips I have right now for you with Starfield. If you enjoyed this video, get subscribed. I'm gonna have a ton more Starfield content coming, but until then, if you missed my full Starfield...
Okay. Oh, those are some good tips, honestly. I mean, it seems like it seems like a game that's just came out. I'm waiting for when more content comes available with the game. I feel like we'll get DLCs because it's Bethesda. And I feel like once those come out, we'll start having stuff to do in the game. But I'm going to end stream, guys. Thank you guys for watching. It's a short stream. Just want to do some research on Bethesda, Starfield. And, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm out. Bye.